Well, I first entered this whole situation. I saw the deprogramming music video on Defango, March 28th, 2018, on my birthday. And it had a profound effect on me emotionally. I'd been numb for a few years just from loss of everybody I loved, dying in about a 5-year span. And it just had an amazing effect on me. But I didn't know who created it. And it wasn't until, I think about a month, well, it would have been in August. It was quite a while after Defango had done it, where he'd had Thomas Schoenberger on his show. And that's how I knew it was Sophia Music, and I found the music channel, where I really loved and enjoyed the music, and one song in particular had another profound effect on me. And then I started following him on Twitter. I was leaving comments on the music, and we started kind of tweeting back and forth a little bit. And then out of the blue, he started direct messaging me. And we just seemed to have a lot in common, like to talk about different subjects that a lot of people don't like to talk about. And it was fun. And for about 3 months, we talked just about every day, one way or the other, through tweets or texts and telephone calls, things like that. And then I started to see a change on Twitter for me. I mean, the first time I had seen it, because I really didn't know who any of these people were or anything that was going on like that. I just knew him from the music channel. And violent rhetoric, it started out like threatening this Craig Wright Bitcoin Cash guy, like wanting to beat him to a pulp and help beat him to death. I mean, just nasty stuff that grown men normally would not put in print, you know. It was just odd. Challenging Jack Posobiec to a boxing match. And then later on, the Lestat, where he said he hoped that, the cartel was after him and he hoped that they raped and beheaded him. And I was just very disturbed by this, and I really, really respected Lestat and admired Lestat, and he knew that too. And I tried to even give him an out. And well, he first tried to call me. I just typed back, really? And he called me to try to lie directly to me and say, "Oh no, Lestat did that to frame me." No, I didn't say that. Then later admitted it, and I tried to give him an out, like, "Come on, you didn't really mean that, right?" And he said, "Oh yes, I did." So that was very disturbing. And then the school play thing happened, and they jumped all over him and his two friends, who were threatening the poor guy. And I left. He publicly said on a comment that, well, socks could be a viable means of engagement, to be honest. And he had told me in the past, without me asking or anything, we weren't even talking about ethics, on how honest he was, which I've since learned is the sign of a pathological liar. And when somebody does that, run. But I didn't know it then. And he, first I got I just answered, well, how can you say that and claim you're an honest man? The socks putting him in comments and things are meant to deceive people. And then, and I realized one of the socks, I recognized the name, had asked me questions in the comments of his music channel, and it creeped me right out that I had answered a sock. It just seemed like AI to me. It was, and I couldn't understand how he couldn't see this, that this would bother people. It's dishonest. He couldn't seem to see that. And then he sent me an email, asked me why I was acting crazy. And then 4 days later, he was demanding I take down my comments. So I replied, well, no, I think I will just leave them up, but I'd rather delete all my comments to Sophia Music because, nobody's going to dictate to me. If I have to accept your lies, your hypocrisy, and your attacks on other people, good riddance. That's not a friend. I don't want to associate with somebody who does those things. Basically, it's just too dark energy for me. And so I said, and he said, fine. Okay, great. Well, 2 days later, I get this on December 21st. I'd sent out a little Christmas greeting to a few people that, like Defango, because I started watching them and everything, and Jethro, and, like that, and the stat. And I got a screen capture of it back saying he's going to sue me. And I'm like, huh? For what? And I guess he's mad that I didn't say Merry Christmas to him. I mean, I don't know what the heck. So I just, in the meantime, had sent out a thing saying, fuck you, Thomas, grow up or something. And I just kind of left a little comment on there, boy, you sure don't mince words, or something like that. And I told Thomas, well, if you didn't like my little Christmas greeting, which had nothing to do with him whatsoever, then you're really not going to like the remark I made on Bo. I'm still trying to keep it light, because the whole thing was so nuts. And that just set off a turret of emails. If you ignored them, you got more. If you replied them, he said you're stalking them. And I keep stressing, no, I'm replying to your email. It's not stalking. And he started really calling me horrible names, and just, I've never been talked to that way, in any fashion, written, oral, any kind of way. I've ever had a man talk to me that way in my entire life, ever. So this was disturbing to me and shocking, because I thought this person was my friend. And it was just, it was disturbing to me, very disturbing. And hurtful, just, very hurtful. It's like, really? And so then in January, I got a series of nuisance phone calls over January 22nd and then the morning of January 23rd, with a female voice from his Napa. Well, I've since learned it was a three-way call from where he lived at the time in Napa. And, because even though he got rid of the account the next day, they were able to trace it. And, I finally blocked the calls, but I think about half a dozen came through. And then the next morning from a spoof number, this person actually had the nerve to call back. At first I thought he might be using a voice changer, but now I think I know who the person was doing this for him, and left a message. And that's how we were able to look at the voices. And left a voice message of all kinds of nerve, that you're harassing somebody on the phone. And then I also got an email he told me it was Elizabeth Baring, but it was like a Lily, that's her real name. And this big, long, convoluted email, saying I was rude to say F off and hang up because I was getting annoyance phone calls on my private cell number that, I did not just randomly give out to people, but Thomas certainly had, because he called me so many times. So that went on, and finally, it stopped, the phone calls, because I guess I don't know, just saw the light by the next, middle of the night, his time or whatever. But at any rate, the emails continued up until, I think the last one was March 21st, where he started doing really nasty, ugly tweets, and, saying that I abused my clients, I murdered my dogs, I abused my elderly mother who lived to be almost 98. And, because there's really nothing he can do to me, because I, pretty boring, clean life. And, let's see, then he, just a lot of nasty tweets, but I don't get on his page. I'm blocked anyway, and that's fine with me. Because why buy into that stuff? But I try to keep a sense of humor about it. But the thing that disturbed me the most is the way he's treating these young guys who are young enough to be our sons, his and mine. And calling these young men pedophiles and Satanists and writing all these rip-off reports on them. It's just horrifying. And, more and more job people do look at social media, and even though they know that's a bogus site, if there's enough of them on there, they might think, well, at least there's somebody gunning for them. Do I want to hire this person? It could really affect their lives. And not only that, but he has done other little cult things, which I used to see him try to pull on me, because I studied cults extensively in college, so I can see the signs, where they build you up and they try to pull the rug out from under you or ghost you or something like that. And we suspect there's a couple people he did that to who are now dead. And we do know that there's a couple people who became suicidal over his treatment of them. And there's somebody who had a nervous breakdown partially because of his treatment and his minions who were ordered, to harangue this person until she had a nervous breakdown. He's a menace. He's toxic. He needs to be removed from social media one way or the other. He could either walk away, or in the case of what he has done and what we are finding more and more evidence of, taking in its totality the death threats and threatening to sue my employer if they didn't fire me, to report them to the state, harassing my employer until they told him to knock it off or we're going to sue you. All these things taken as totality and urging other people to do it as well, doxing my HR administrator's private cell number, which I have no idea how he could have gotten, and encouraging his minions to phone and harass them. This could qualify as a case of domestic terrorism, especially when taken in its totality with all the actual death threats he has made to so many people, and threats to ruin people, and calling people's work, and doxing their addresses and everything. And, we are compiling our evidence and we'll go after it that way, because maybe he should be in jail for what he's done. At the very least, he needs to get off social media and just leave people alone. That's all he needs to do, just leave people alone. But he's got a mental thing going on, which not legally, mentally innocent of what he's done, because he does know right from wrong, and we've got plenty of evidence of that he's admitted that he knows it's wrong and still does it. But he's got some kind of a defect going on. It's clear, where he just has this tyrant cult-like thing where he just needs to control everything, and have all these little art things going on. But we think it's deeper than that, much deeper. And the idea is eventually to have so much censorship on social media that the only thing that, legacy media can come in and take it over, which of course we know is kind of run by the CIA, and there will be no freedom anywhere to hear opposing views. And they do employ people, like Thomas, somebody who would do, be the sociopath, and these are the kind of people they want to do these things. People maybe who have addictions, somebody they can control, and to help destroy social media, and this is quite clear, and I suspect that it's just more than his own, mental derangement that causes him to do what he's doing. We think it goes deeper. At any rate, it needs to stop, because no one has a right to destroy the internet for everybody, and it should be a great place. It should be a helpful thing to humanity, not a cesspool. It's like turning it into what television turned into, turning into the worst of reality television, and just trying to ruin the internet for everyone. And I don't really care what the motives are, and it's got to fail, and it will fail. But enough of us stand up and fight it, it will, and we will prevail. So I guess, no matter what, I'm just going to stay in here as long as it takes, try to have a sense of humor in the sense about it, but we need to keep the pressure up. We need to just keep harping on this until he's gone, until it stops. So I guess that's about all I have to say. And I really appreciate Bobby and Jethro and everybody, and Able Danger, thank you so much for helping get the word out. And there's numbers is how everything worthwhile has ever been achieved, is when people group together and for a common cause. And that's the way this will be accomplished as well. Okay, well, that's it. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Otherwise, I'm going to do that. They're not going to put the cops over in place. Me and Julie, we're going to make it arrest. So you are about to be busted. I suggest you get back to me if you don't want this thing going up. And by the way, a gun and a gun permit. And if Mr. Leffler tries to show up there, he will be shot. So that's all I got to say. All right, we watch it real carefully. We got real good neighbors, and they're all aware of the situation. So you're about to get into very deep shit. You better give me a phone call back or send me email confirmation because what's about to get really good. Listen, all right? And if you didn't notice the court case when it gets Steve, and if you're too fucking stupid, realize the judgment is a verdict. That's your own problem. But you know what? You crossed the line, fucker. All right? You crossed the line, and this is bullshit. All right? So now I'm taking it into my own hands, and God help you. End of message.